Good morning and welcome to this live broadcast of Three Country Ride to Cure Breast Cancer, presented by SpotLink and benefiting the Breast Cancer Research Foundation. Today, as part of our daily Morning Mingle series, we have the pleasure of speaking with Sue Hagan, Marketing and Communications Manager of the Preservation Parks of Delaware County, Ohio. Thanks, Sue, for being here. Really appreciate it.
It's a pleasure. I'm really excited to be here. Thanks for picking us.
It's great. It's beautiful around here. Can you tell us a little bit about Preservation Parks?
Yeah, absolutely. So Preservation Parks is the natural areas park system for Delaware County, Ohio, which is just north of the city of Columbus.
Okay.
It's kind of a bedroom community in a way. It used to be very rural, but we preserve some open space and do conservation and provide places for people to recreate. In the midst of all sprawling, not really urban development, I shouldn't say that, suburban development.
Right.
So programs, we have like 4 or 5 naturalist staff, and they go out into the schools.
Oh, wow.
We augment the science curriculum for the public schools and the private schools in Delaware County. We try to get kids really excited about nature, so they want to come out and they become less afraid of the bugs and the spiders and the snakes and the little critters that scamper here and there. So it's not only just trying to get them to learn something new, but for them to get excited about being outdoors.
Okay. And how would you describe preservation parks to someone who's never been to Delaware County?
Yeah, that can be confusing for people because there's other parks around here. We've got state parks, we've got city parks, and so on. So how we set ourselves apart, we talk about us being the natural areas park system. So we just say we have 9 parks. We have parts of the Ohio to Erie Trail, which is a bike trail that goes from Cincinnati all the way to Cleveland. It's about 90% completed, couple little gaps here and there. We talk about it as a place they can come to do picnicking. We have a fishing pond in one of the parks. Sometimes it's hard to encapsulate it in 3 or 4 sentences, but as long as I understand that it's places in the outdoors that we're trying to keep from being developed. We want to have habitat for wildlife. We want to have fun places to go. We want to have clean water, so some of our parks create buffers along the scenic waterways. So we want them to understand that we're reclaiming prairies and we're reforesting and we've got new wetlands that are being built for habitat. So I guess that kind of is a summary of what we're all about.
One of the things I found unusual about this is you're a multifunctional organization. Not only do you manage the parks, you also have these programs, like I said, going out of school. So it's quite an undertaking.
It really is. We have a lot. And right now we're super busy. We're launching a World of Water program for the summer. So we've got exhibits we're building at 2 of the parks. So one of the parks, it's kind of cool. We have a naturalist who loves knitting. And she also is worried about marine life and the depth, or I shouldn't say that, that's so negative, the health of the oceans. So she has had people help her, but she has created like 800 or so little pom-poms about this big of different colors, and they're going to represent a coral reef. And she's laying them all out, and she's got little knit polyps that stick out in between. So you've got these little urchins and polyps and coral things. And then they're in different colors, so they show the health of the coral reef. This is the healthy part, and this is it being bleached. And that's just one of the little things she's doing in this exhibit. And the exhibit's going to launch Memorial Weekend and go on all summer.
Wow, that's great.
So that's just one example of what we do that doesn't really kind of fit in the normal mold of just park rangers and park naturalists, but we really do spread ourselves out.
Yeah, pretty great. So what do you do? Can you tell us a little bit about what you do as your daily job as communications and marketing manager?
Yeah, I'm a one-person department, although I do have an intern, thankfully, for the summer. But so really anything related to communications or marketing, including managing the website, working with the media, doing fun things like this, which is a highlight of my morning. Plus I'm outside. Writing, I used to be a reporter, so plenty of writing, feature writing. I do newspaper columns.
Oh, great.
We manage social media, create brochures, just really everything related to communications that you can think of. I try to cram into my day.
Well, that's great. Of course, the whole reason we're doing this ride is to benefit breast cancer research.
Right.
Is there anything about our cause that is personal to you?
Well, yeah, sure. I know plenty of people who've had cancer of one form or another. My sister-in-law, Mary, who's only in her 40s, had breast cancer. And she's doing really well. That was 5 years ago, but she was so courageous about it, not only going through the treatment, but just in the day-to-day everything. It's hard. Some people I know kind of hide away when they are ill. But Mary, my daughter got married 5 years ago, and Mary came. She was in the middle of radiation and chemo treatment. She lives in Indiana. She came to Columbus. She had her hat covering her no hair head. You know, she had her cute dress, she had her cute shoes, and she danced. And she just did what she needed to do, and that was toward the beginning of all of it for her. You know, the whole gamut of surgeries and treatments, but 5 years later, she's doing great. Yeah, yeah, so it has touched me for sure.
Well, thank you for sharing that.
Of course.
So after this, we're going to head over to Mansfield, Ohio. Do you have any advice for our journey today?
Well, you're going to have gorgeous weather, so you're going to love it.
Yeah.
And you told me you're taking the country road, so depending on the actual route you're going, you might not know that the whole Mansfield area was the filming site for the Shawshank Redemption, which is a movie that I think everybody knows. It's a fabulous movie. There's a little town called Butler, and right near Butler, I don't remember the route name, but there's a road where you can actually see where the character Red gets off the bus and is going to look in the hayfield for whatever Andy left him. And you can see that road, and you can say, oh yeah, he walked right there. There's the barn, there's the curve. And there's about a half a dozen or more sites in Mansfield in that area that were the sites for the movie. The big reformatory, Mansfield Reformatory, the prison, which is no longer active, in Mansfield was the prison that was in the Shawshank Redemption. I've done a tour of it. It's pretty
Neat.
interesting and kind of gruesome.
Okay, well, the last question, you kind of did this right already. Is there a weird fact you know and want to share?
About the parks?
Anything.
Not weird, but I can mention, I talked a little bit earlier about making kids and people comfortable in nature. Well, I guess most of the funny kind of questions we get relate to wildlife. So we'll get people saying, oh my gosh, there's this big snake. Do you have snakes in the parks? You know, they're going, oh, they want the parks to be a little more sanitized, I think. So they wonder about where the snakes are. Which park can I go into where I won't accidentally run into a snake? We get questions like that. And we basically have to say, well, I hardly ever see them. They really don't want to be seen, but you could come across them anywhere. And then one time, this was kind of funny, we had a guy, we have a pond here at Hogback Ridge Park, which is the park where I work. And there's a pond, and we have some snapping turtles in there. And they're pretty big. And when they surface the water, they kind of have a scaly look to their back and tail. Well, two of them were kind of mushed up together, and this guy saw them and didn't know what they were. So he wasn't sure because he couldn't see the whole turtle. He could only see the scaly thing. So he took his camera and he took film, and then he did this really cute little video making it look like a monster, like the Loch Ness Monster-y thing. And then he had a little animated raccoon doing this and hiding because it was afraid of the monster in the pond. So I guess it's just getting people familiar with wildlife and comfortable and understanding what lives here and what doesn't. Yeah.
Well, great. Well, thank you so much for doing this.
Of course. It was my pleasure. I enjoyed it.
It was great.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to head off now. Catch us for our Live from the Road noon update and our 8 p.m. recap. Talk to you then.